Over the years, there have been many different Robins, but which one has been the best? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, and welcome to the Batcave. As stated in the intro, today I will be talking about my favourite Robins. Now, although this list will be in order, it's solely my opinion. So I'm going to give a little bit of information about each Robin so that you guys can make an informed decision to form your own lists. And be sure to let me know those in the comments down below so we can discuss further. Again, I don't want anybody kicking off at each other over different opinions. They are just that, opinions. Everybody has different ones. So, without further ado, let's get into my list. Now, I'm not going to include every single iteration of Robin in this video, just the main ones. So we'll be excluding the ones that we have little information on, such as the Toy Wonder, Bruce Wayne Jr., Helena Wayne, and Drake Winston. All of those don't really have fully fleshed out stories to allow us to make proper opinions on them. Having said that, for the sake of this being a ranked video, you can just assume that those 4 Robins would be the last 4 on this list. Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to start with Stephanie Brown. Now, Stephanie is only so low on this list because of her short term as Robin. In my opinion, she had a much better run as Spoiler and as Batgirl than she ever did as Robin. After having a relationship with Tim Drake and a crime-fighting career of her own as Spoiler, she eventually demanded that Batman train her as the new Robin. Oh, and this was after Tim Drake and her had broken up, and Tim was no longer serving as Robin as his father had found out how he spends his nights. Batman initially didn't like the idea of Stephanie becoming Robin, thinking of her as an amateur, but he eventually decided to take her on and trained her intensely. At first, she seemed capable, but after disobeying orders on 2 separate occasions, Batman fired her. She was eventually taken and tortured by Black Mask, dying in hospital with Batman by her side. Quite a tragic end to this Robin. Now, moving on to the next best Robin on my list, I believe number 5, we have Jason Todd. Now, I'm sure many of you would have Jason Todd higher on this list, but let's be honest, he was never a particularly good Robin. Yes, he went on to become the Red Hood, who is an awesome character, and one of my personal favourites. But as Robin, he was not the best sidekick. When he was first introduced, he was basically an over-eager, kind of annoying version of Dick Grayson. And later versions of him, he was just sort of a teenager with an attitude problem. As a sidekick, he was impulsive, reckless, and full of rage. I mean, he was discovered by Batman when he was trying to steal the tires off of the Batmobile. Then there was some questionable situations with some criminals falling to their deaths when Jason was involved. He of course went on to run away from Batman to find his real mother, but was eventually captured by the Joker, beaten almost to death and then caught in an explosion. Even after his resurrection, Batman considers Jason to be his greatest ever failure. For that reason, and the fact that he was kind of an annoying Robin, he sits pretty low on my list. Though again, if we were talking Jason Todd as purely a character and not just a Robin, then he would have been much higher on my list. Moving on. Next up we have Carrie Kelly. Carrie is a fantastic Robin, making her debut in the Dark Knight Returns story, which by the way is one of the greatest Batman stories ever told, which probably helps her case here. She is first saved from an attack by a just out of retirement grumpy Batman. She then spends her money on a Robin costume and hunts down some petty criminals to try and meet Batman once more. She uses a slingshot with firecrackers as her weapon. Batman eventually takes her on as his new sidekick, and she comes across very promising. Though similar to Stephanie Brown, she is almost fired multiple times for disobeying orders. Though Batman keeps her on as she shows immense talent. The only reason that Carrie isn't much higher on this list is because in the grand scheme of things, she actually ditched the Robin identity quite early on, as she took on the role of Catgirl in the Dark Knight Strikes Again storyline, the sequel to The Dark Knight Returns. Not only was she a very talented Robin and sidekick to Batman, but she also has a great attitude, being snarky and super positive about everything. She is just a very likeable character, and I would personally love to see her given a much bigger role in the current continuity. Next up, we have Damien Wayne. Now, I did go back and forth between the number 2 and number 3 spots on this list, but ultimately number 3 goes to Damien Wayne. He is obviously the Robin with the most potential, being very young and trained by the Al Ghul's. I know some readers don't like him, and a part of me gets that. He can be pretty annoying, and ultimately that's why he sits at number 3 and not higher on this list. But the reason he is such a great Robin is because he is essentially a mix of all the other Robins. He has the snark of Carrie Kelly, the bad attitude of Jason Todd, the athleticism of Dick Grayson, and he is actually the son of Bruce Wayne. He also makes for some pretty funny moments. Because of his, well, ninja-like upbringing, he struggles to conform to normal social situations. And at times, he just acts like a little kid, which is of course what he is, so it kind of brings a sort of charm to this version of Robin. But overall, he rejected his mother's darkish plans to help his father and become a superhero, proving that overall, he's a real good kid. Now on to number 2, the penultimate best Robin. Drumroll please. I've gone with Tim Drake. Tim was a teenager that was a little nerdy and a little socially awkward, and a massive Batman fanboy. It was his dream for years to be Robin, to be half of the dynamic duo. So I think a big part of Tim's appeal as a character is the fact that most of us can probably relate. I know as a kid myself, I would have given my left leg to be the sidekick of Batman. If he existed. Obviously. Tim distinguished himself from Jason Todd by being far more reserved in temperament, and from Dick Grayson by being more of a detective and less of a great acrobat. Whereas Dick had been brought up from a very early age to be acrobatic, Tim had to work hard for it, though he did eventually prove himself to be more than capable of holding his own in a fight. In actual comic book in-world canon, he is considered by many to be the best Robin ever. But if I'm honest, it's his almost perfectness that kind of, I don't want to say puts me off Tim, because I think he's a great character, and clearly the second best Robin, but because of his lack of flaws, he is slightly less interesting as Robin to me, when compared to the others at least. But that's really just to justify why I haven't put him as number 1 on this list. Speaking of number 1, I have of course gone with Dick Grayson. Now when I was planning this video, I looked at many other people's lists of the best Robins on the internet, and many people picked Tim Drake as the best Robin, which I totally get. But to me, it has to be Dick Grayson. It's not just the fact that he is a gifted athlete and gymnast that took to learning martial arts like it was a second nature, but he is also an extremely competent detective. But most importantly, it's his temperament. He is calm when required, angry when necessary, and it feels like he almost always knows what to do, whether with or without Batman's help. Obviously, this is a Robin list, so his time as Nightwing or even as Batman do not count towards this, but come on, Nightwing is great and Dick made an incredible Batman. In fact, and this is not my opinion, many people have said that he is the best Batman of all time. Again, not my opinion. But overall, it's not just the specifics of what Dick did as Robin to make him the best. It's the fact that he is the template for what it means to be Robin. He set the standard for future Robins to try and meet. Those that didn't reach those standards just came across as bad sidekicks. Like Jason Todd, for example. Dick is the original and the best, and in my opinion, probably always will be. Okay, that was my list of the best Robins of all time, ranked from 6th best to the best in my opinion. Again, I've got to reiterate, it is of course my opinion. It's subjective, I think is the right term. And I'm sure many of you will completely disagree with some of the picks that I have made. But for that reason, I really want you to let me know your picks in the comments down below. Would you put Dick as number 1? Or would you go Tim Drake? Perhaps many of you would even put Jason Todd all the way to the top, where he was quite low on my list. Many of you may even have picked one of the ones that I didn't really include in the list. I'm very curious to know what you guys think. Let me know, and I will reply to as many comments as I can. Maybe even all of them, like I try to do, and we'll have a little discussion. Again, I want to thank you all so much for the support that you've given this channel over the last month. It's literally been up a month now, and the support has been insane. 5,500 subscribers has blown my expectations out of the water, so keep watching, keep commenting, keep liking. I really am enjoying this adventure so far. If you haven't noticed, I'm not sure what the camera can really see, I have recently made some additions to my DC collection behind me. It goes a lot higher than what you can see, and at some point, I think maybe next week, maybe even this week, who knows. I will do a little tour, a little video showing off everything that I've collected over the years, and if that's something you guys would like to see, again, leave a comment down below, because I don't want to upload content that you don't want to see. So let me know if you want to see a little collection / studio tour video. Okay, that's it from me today, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and return to the Batcave for more Bat content.